Welcome to Real Estate Radio Live, an informative and engaging hour discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Joe Cucchiara, provides you with insight and guidance on
yesterday. It was a great time away. Just a reminder, if you're just tuning in, you can listen to us a couple different ways. One is on your radio at KDOW 1220 AM. You could also listen to us live online at KDOW.biz. We're a live show. We love your calls and questions. I'll introduce my guests in just a minute. We focus on education information. So almost 4 years ago now I started this show. The objective is to provide you, the consumer, with as much education information as we can. By doing that, we have excellent guests like today, good content information. We'll keep building on that to help you make wise decisions in your real estate transactions. Pretty simple. That's what we'll try to do. If you'd like to reach us during the show, there's a couple different ways you could do that. One is the 1-800 number, 516-1220. That's always the same number, toll free if you want to reach us during the show, or the live text line at 408-838-9060. You could text us during the show as well. Let me invite my guest in. I'd like to invite Mrs. Jilliene Helman. She's the CEO for RealtyMogul.com. Jilliene, how are you today?
Doing fine, thanks.
Good to have you here. This is going to be an exciting conversation. We've been hearing a lot about crowdfunding, and when I found out more about your company, it was great to reach out and have you spend some time with us today. So thank you for your time with us today to tell us a little bit more. Maybe you get started to tell us, Jilliene, a little bit about your background, who you are, and how you start. You know, what kind of just maybe give. After that, the listeners, kind of an overview of real estate crowdfunding, kind of 101, just to start with the basics.
Sure. So I guess starting with who I am, I'm Jilliene Helman, and I'm the CEO of RealtyMogul.com. And I grew up in a very entrepreneurial family. So I was the youngest in my family, a variety of CEOs and entrepreneurial people, and I really started getting involved in real estate from a young age. My mother was in the real estate industry, and my father owned commercial and industrial property as part of his business pursuits. And I learned my basic real estate chops around the dinner table. My family owned property in Los Angeles, and I started helping to manage that property when I became a teenager, and was always fascinated by real estate and the concept of, investing in real estate and generating returns and creating wealth through real estate. And I got involved in the real estate crowdfunding industry just about 3 years ago, and its most basic conceptualization, real estate crowdfunding is pooling capital together online to invest in a real estate transaction. So you take a group of investors who may not know one another, and they're pooling capital together through the internet to make a real estate investment. And that's what we do at RealtyMogul.com, is we do real estate crowdfunding. We're working with investors from all over the country, and we're providing them with real estate investment opportunities that they can invest in all over the country.
Perfect. Well said. So anybody could go online. Obviously, there's probably a process in which they have to go through, certify, how you go to qualify an investor, but we could get into that. But what is the minimum amount, and can they invest in, I'm assuming, is it commercial, residential? What type of properties could they invest in?
Yeah, so we work with qualified investors. The minimum investment could be as low as $5,000 to buy into a piece of physical real estate. And the investment opportunities are pretty wide, right? There are residential and commercial investment opportunities. You might find multifamily apartment buildings, retail shopping centers, self-storage facilities, hotels, office buildings. So there's quite a variety of investment opportunities for these investors.
This has been this is really having a lot of growth and a lot of good information, really hype around these different opportunities, and not really in the same genre maybe, but this in our industry, kind of in the financial world, it's the fintech, the different things that are coming in and really taking some business away, if you will, from traditional banking, whether it be mortgage, personal loans, auto loans, student loans, all different types of things. This is just another unique kind of exciting way that I would guess, Jilliene, that allows people to invest in real estate and, at different levels and not have to put in such a big chunk of money. And at the same time, pretty simplified process, isn't it? Maybe you could take us through that process.
Sure, and I think that the fact that you use the word simple is really important to us. You know, we talk about RealtyMogul.com being real estate investing simplified.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that it works is that an investor will come to the website. They'll sign up for access to our transactions. We have a live investor relations team that will work with investors to make sure that they're qualified investors. And then they'll have access to the platform where they can browse through open investment opportunities. And again, these range from, you know, multifamily apartment building in Los Angeles to a retail shopping center in Texas, as an example. Once the investor determines what might fit their preferences for a real estate investment, they can do the entire transaction online. So they're funding online, they're signing legal documentation online, and then we also populate an investor dashboard so that investor can see how their transaction has been performing. And if you think about, you know, buying stocks or bonds online, that's been something that's been around for, you know, a couple of decades now, but it never really happened for real estate, right? Real estate is a little more complex, and it's obviously a private transaction as opposed to a public transaction, but a very similar experience and a very similar concept to buying any other kind of product on the Internet.
Yeah. How is this different? It sounds a little bit like, but maybe you could explain to the general listener, because a lot of people know about the traditional investment. You know, gee, I want to buy this rental property in San Jose or wherever it may be, and I'm going to put 25% down, and this is my cash flow, ROI, all that. And then there's the concept that you guys have. How does that differ, what you guys do, versus the other concept you hear a lot about is the REITs, the Real Estate Investment Trust? How would those two differ, like what you guys do versus the REITs?
Yeah, sure. So I think that even before the difference between us and a REIT, you have to ask yourself as an investor, do you want to be an active investor or do you want to be a passive investor, right? So an active investor is going out and acquiring property. They might be renovating the property. They're putting tenants in, and they're dealing with what we call internally the hassles of tenants, toilets, and trash, right? So you've got to deal with it. The passive investor says, I'm going to pay somebody else to deal with that headache, right? I'm going to pay somebody else to get woken up at 2 a.m. and deal with a leaky toilet, or, you know, pay someone else to put a new tenant in when the old tenant leaves. So what we do and investing in a REIT, those would both be examples of making passive investments. It depends if it's a publicly traded REIT or a non-publicly traded REIT, but if you think about publicly traded REITs, those are traded in the stock market. So similar to buying a stock, you could buy a real estate investment trust or a REIT, where the underlying ownership of that REIT is actual real property. One of the benefits, I think, of that transaction in comparison to investing in real estate on RealtyMogul.com is you have liquidity, right? So publicly traded REITs have liquidity. You can buy it the way you buy a stock. You can sell it the way that you sell a stock. That is very different than the investment opportunities that we have at RealtyMogul.com. All of our investments are illiquid. So if you're investing with us, you're intending to hold on to that real estate for some projected period of time. There's no stock market that you can buy and sell those transactions. Albeit, you know, that's one of the downsides. One of the upsides is that if you're investing in a publicly traded REIT, you still have a lot of market volatility, right? So if something happens in the economy, the value of that REIT may decline, not because the underlying real estate asset that was held by that REIT was declining, but just because there was economic or market volatility in the stock market. When you're investing in private transactions, that, like those that we offer at RealtyMogul.com, you don't have as much volatility, right? You're not going to have as much sensitivity and volatility to daily market movements, because the value of real estate is just not going to change that much, you know, on a day-to-day basis. Over time it will, right? Over time there will be trends, but you won't have that same market volatility.
Very good. If you're just tuning in, this is Joe Cucchiara with Real Estate Radio Live. We're with you 5 days a week, and today we have on the line for the entire hour Jilliene Helman, who is the CEO of Realty Mogul. It's been kind enough to spend the entire hour with us. If you have any questions, this is a great concept. Anybody out there interested in real estate, investment real estate, just getting a different idea, this is wonderful stuff. It's good stuff. I love the innovation. I love the fact that, you know, more consumer friendly, easy to use. We'll talk more about that. If you want to check in, if you have a question for Jilliene, 1-800-516-1220 or the live text line 408-838-9060. Jilliene, maybe we could talk a little bit about the, you know, when all the online services start coming up, one of the biggest fears people is the information, and is that information going to be secure and safe, and transactions with money and all the different things that go along with that. First, it started with the banks and your typical checking account. Now there's all kinds of transactions, billions of dollars a day being transacted online. Maybe you go into the simplified process of that and why that's a secure, process for consumers as they do these transactions and how that works.
Yeah, so it's all about security and encryption, right? So how are you passing data from one server to another server on the internet, right? So we obviously move money in and out of escrow accounts at our company, and how does that money get into the escrow account? How does that money get out of the escrow account? And the service that most technology companies use now is encryption, right? So if anything is going to pass from one server to another server, that is encrypted, where it kind of looks like gobbledygook, right? So if somebody's going to go try and intercept that, they're really intercepting gobbledygook as opposed to your proprietary information or otherwise. But I think that security is something we take very seriously at our company, and it's expensive, right? So one of the benefits of our company is we are a well-capitalized company, or at least in my opinion, a well-capitalized company, and we spend tremendous amounts of time, energy, and resources on security. We have a full-time employee whose job at the company is maintaining and managing our servers and the security of our servers. So it's really important to make sure that you're doing business with legitimate companies that have been in business long enough to figure these types of things out, and companies that are well capitalized so that they continue to put time, energy, and effort in maintaining security across the technology platform.
Very good. All right, we're going to have to take our first break. When we come back, we're going to dive into much more. The topic today, Real Estate Crowdfunding 101. We have the CEO of RealtyMogul.com on the line for the entire hour, Jilliene Helman. If you have any questions for Jilliene, 1-800-516-1220, or you could always use our live text line, 408-838-9060. This is Joe Cucchiara with Real Estate Radio Live. We'll be back with you in just a couple minutes. From 3 to 4, be sure to tune in. Some bonus time for you on Wednesdays and Fridays. We're with you from 2 to 4. And today I'm joined on the line here for the entire hour, Jilliene Helman, who is the CEO of Realty Mogul. Conversation, the topic today is Real Estate Crowdfunding 101. It's the basics of a concept that's really, I'll ask Jilliene, I'm guessing several years, and it's really growing. A lot of different opportunities. What's so great about innovation and the use of really different ways to allow people to do transactions, whether it's real estate or personal financing, auto. There's all kinds of different things that are improving. Jilliene, how long has this concept, it's got started, is it really, I know it's coming to the forefront right now, but how long has this crowdfunding concept been taking place online, and what kind of momentum is it gaining at this point as we roll into 2016 here?
Yeah, in the real estate industry, I think you're looking at about the last 2 years, plus or minus.
Okay.
A couple of guys got started a little bit earlier than that, but it's really been over the last 2 years, and I'd say 2015 has been a breakout year for real estate financing on the internet, and I think financial technology and online investing in general, right? It's sort of a larger trend that is well beyond just real estate. Yep.
Yeah, it really is. This the idea of the ability, I should say, for these transactions. What would could an investor, someone that goes on, fills out the information, are they able to? You said minimum $5,000. I mean, by the same token, I don't want to just assume, but could they? What is the maximum? I mean, can they put the entire investment in themselves if they see a building or something that they want, or how does that work?
Yeah, there's no maximums. Interestingly, we have both individual investors and institutional investors who are investing with us. So, we've got institutional investors who may invest millions and millions and millions of dollars in transactions, and retail investors or individual investors who, depending on their net worth and their liquid assets, obviously that would be a different overall size.
Yeah, how about the, maybe you could speak to the entrepreneur out there, the person that's looking for different opportunities to invest in real estate. We talked a little bit about the difference between the REIT and buying a piece of real estate in general. Where do you think it's crowdfunding now? Do you see, looking into the future, do you see more and more of this type of opportunity in different levels? We may not even, as we sit here today having this conversation, we might even not even be thinking about something that's next. But where do you see this industry, let's say stay specific to real estate and let's say crowdfunding, any other ideas or thoughts of how these transactions will differ and how we might see this industry change a little bit over the next, say, 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, I think that the key word that springs to my mind as you're asking the question is automation. So if we look at other, we offer both equity transactions and debt transactions on our platform. If I just talk about debt for a second, and I think about less on the investor side, but more on real estate companies who want access to capital. And I think about automation, right? And all of the lenders around the country, whether it's banks or non-bank lenders or other types of lenders, they really don't have automated processing, right? Some of them may have some decent technology. Some of them may have some elements of automation. But I think if you said to a traditional real estate lender, we can originate a real estate loan completely automated, and we're going to be able to do that in 5 years, let's say as an example, they wouldn't believe you, right? That's such an astronomical thing to say. But I actually really believe that, right? I believe that there will be such a high degree of automation alongside underwriting and originating real estate debt and huge amounts of transparency, right? So for you to build an automated platform that can do that, it means that you're giving the underlying investor lots and lots of data that they can use to make their own underlying intelligent decision. But I see a lot of automation that's going to continue to reach this segment of the market. And I think that, we're still far out from that. That may be 3 years, and maybe 5 years, and maybe even farther than that. But, those are some of the things that we're working on and thinking about in our organization today are what does this look 3 to 5 years out? And I think more and more automation. There's also a lot of compliance automation. So, we run a business that's highly regulated, and we're now using technology in order to make sure that we stay compliant with all the regulations.
Yeah, well said. All right, we're going to have to take another break. When we come back, much more. It's a great topic. We're talking about real estate crowdfunding 101. If you have any questions, thoughts, ideas, 1-800-516-1220, or you could use the live text line 408-838-9060. This is Joe Cucchiara with Real. To spend some time with us today talking about this evolution of that's just another way to invest in real estate. Real Estate Crowdfunding 101. She's kind enough to explain it, go through it, kind of process, giving us some numbers, what to expect maybe in the future. Jilliene, what's the, since you said this really just picked up a head of steam here in the last year or so in terms of this crowdfunding, real estate crowdfunding, what might you expect as a CEO running this company and this organization? What are the expectations over the next, 2016, the next couple of years, maybe? What do you guys expect to see in terms of, is it volume? Is it transactions? How do you measure success over the next couple of years in what you're doing?
Yeah, I think for us, success is twofold. One, it's performance of the transactions, right? So we're offering investment opportunities, and those investment opportunities need to perform. And the second is volume, right? I think that real estate crowdfunding will get in the billions of dollars in the next couple of years. There's tremendous appetite from both real estate companies who are looking for equity or debt financing and real estate investors who are looking for a passive way to get access to real estate. And I think that that'll be in the billions of dollars, which interestingly is still a small part of real estate, right? If you look at the size of the real estate markets and you look at annually, a couple $100 billion in transactions change hands and are bought and sold in real estate. So I think even a couple billion is still a small part of the market, but it's really exciting when you think about a business that didn't exist 2 years ago, right? 2 years ago or 3 years ago, you couldn't go online and click a couple of buttons and get access to a real estate transaction, and today you can, and in the next couple of years, I think billions of dollars will be transacted that way. Yeah.
Well, we'll give out the information more towards the end of the show, but if someone wants to know more about how this works, the whole process works, I'm guessing it's really kind of user-friendly and easy to just, would they just go to RealtyMogul.com and then start there?
Correct.
Okay. So just go to RealtyMogul.com, and there's different examples well thought out in terms of what types of investments you can make and all different types of levels of a person could make as well. What are the majority of the transactions at this point, Jilliene? In other words, percentage-wise, are you seeing more investments interested on the on the residential or the commercial or a mix? How is that right now?
Yeah, so our real focus today is on cash flowing investments. So investment opportunities that, have the potential to produce cash flow to investors. So as an example, we don't work on ground up development because if you're building a building, there's not going to be tenants, there's not going to be cash flow. We don't work on raw land, right? If you're investing in raw land, again, no cash flow. The biggest part of our business to date, I would say, is in the multifamily business. So apartment buildings. We've also done a number of transactions in the retail vertical. So either grocery-anchored retail shopping centers or non-grocery-anchored retail shopping centers. And interestingly, we've also worked on mobile home parks. So we've worked with mobile home park funds and providing investors access to a diversified array of mobile home parks, which has been a really unique asset class that, most investors definitely would at least most likely wouldn't have access to if they weren't being an active investor in mobile home parks.
Right. All right, we're going to have to take another quick break. When we come back, much more. If you have any questions for Jilliene Helman, she's the CEO of RealtyMogul.com. We're talking about real estate crowdfunding 101. You could reach us at 1-800-516-1220, or you could text at 408-838-9060. This is Joe Cucchiara with the Real Estate Radio Live. We'll be back to continue in just a couple minutes. You should really look into it if you're interested in real estate or investing. It's just a great concept, and it's we're talking about the details of it. For more information, you go to RealtyMogul.com. That's RealtyMogul, MOGUL.com for more information. Jilliene, what about in terms of geographic location, are the investments right now in the United States only? Are you guys doing anything internationally, or is that kind of the next thing? Or tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, our investments are just domestic for now, and we're investing nationwide. So we've got investment opportunities in California, Texas, Florida, New York, Washington, North Carolina, Maryland, et cetera, all over the country, but all in the U.S. All
right. I'm sure you guys you're really good at collecting data and feedback and information. If you were to, right now as we stand today on this radio interview, why would you say that most people are leaning in this direction or moving in this direction if they'd say, gee, I used RealtyMogul.com to invest or to get into the crowdfunding arena because? Would it be because of ease of use? Would it be because of it's so simple? Would it because... What would you say at this point the consensus is why most people are moving in this direction?
Yeah, a couple of reasons. One, they can own real estate without having to manage it. So we enable our members to invest in pre-vetted properties operated by real estate professionals. And they can own that real estate property without having to manage it, so they avoid large commitments of time, resources, or money. Two, I think that people are really excited about investing in the world's largest asset class. So real estate is the world's largest asset class, and a lot of financial models and some very sophisticated institutional investors employ a sophisticated real estate strategy. And for the first time, I think real estate crowdfunding allows qualified investors to get similar access on the Internet. And then the third point is around simplicity, right? Investors can view and select their properties online. They've got transparency and visibility into specific properties, and they can track their investment performance in one place the same way that they would with stocks or bonds.
Got it. And do you, as part of your staff, Jilliene, is it licensed real estate people throughout the United States that could, conduct these transactions, although the transactions literally are online? Do you still have licensed people, basically boots on the ground, people working in general in these different states? How does that look as a person's listening to this show and they're thinking, well, gee, how do they know about a multi-unit in Texas or Chicago? Someone's actually out there working with you guys. How does that work?
Yeah, so for every real estate transaction, we partner with a local real estate company. So if we're going to look at a transaction in New York, for example, there will be a local real estate company in New York. And then as far as our team, we hold a variety of different licenses, and we're regulated by a variety of different regulators. So we've got all of those applicable licenses.
Okay. So you have people, so you contract, or maybe contract's not the right, you partner with people in different areas, real estate firms that will help with those transactions in different locations like that.
Correct.
So is this in any way, you have the Zillows and the big machines that are online that some real estate industry, people in the real estate industry thinks, well, eventually will they even need real estate agents? Is crowdfunding different than that? In other words, how would crowdfunding be different? You're still using real estate agents for transactions. This is just a way for people to invest, right? So is there a part of the industry where, I know everybody likes to use the word disruption. What part of the industry might this be disrupting?
Yeah, so we are still using real estate agents and brokers, right? So brokers and agents are still very much an active part, I think, of the real estate ecosystem and not who we're looking to disrupt. I think that we're looking to disrupt financial services models, right? So we're looking to disrupt existing real estate lenders who do real estate lending in an offline fashion as opposed to, through technology and through the use of automation. And then also, working within the financial services industry to provide a greater access and greater accessibility to private real estate transactions to qualified investors.
Yeah, great. Interest rates, it's always heavy on people's mind. They've been so low for so long. That's certainly part of this run-up. Money is cheap. The Fed has come out. There was a thought that she might raise in September, but it looks like probably the next time, sometime by the end of the year, rates will, increase. Of course, the prime really theoretically has nothing to do with mortgage backs, but they usually follow. What are your thoughts if rates go up a little bit? Could this affect your business in general, or do you think that that's kind of baked in already? Everybody kind of understands what's going on, and that won't really have much effect in your business?
Yeah, I think to some extent it's baked in. We're all expecting interest rates to rise. They can't really go much lower. So I think that, from a realistic perspective, that's what the market's expecting. That's what, are the real estate companies that we work with are expecting, when they're underwriting their transactions. And, cap rates tend to move. So if you think about cap rates in real estate, they tend to move when interest rates move. So, it'll be baked into the sale price or the future sale price of the property.
Very good. All right, we're going to have to take our last break. When we come back, just a few minutes left with Jilliene Helman. She is the CEO of RealtyMogul.com. Today we're talking about real estate crowdfunding 101. Just great stuff. Another really wonderful way to invest in real estate. If you have any questions, we have just one more segment, 1-800-516-1220, or you could text 408-838-9060. I see some emails coming through, and I'll get to those when I get a chance.